Board meeting to order on January 4th, 2018 at 6 o'clock p.m. and ask Clerk Simsky for a roll call, please.
Mayor Gunter?
Here.
The clerk's here. Trustee Addington?
Here.
Trustee Barker?
Here.
Trustee Barry?
Here.
Trustee Guzzo?
Here.
Trustee Little?
Here.
Trustee Nero?
Here.
Attorney Zemanek?
Here.
Manager May?
Here.
And Finance Director Parker.
Here. Would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the new year, our first meeting. And at this point, open forum. Chief, we have nobody here for open forum, so we'll move on to reports. My reports first, and I do want to mention that beginning of the year, we have new board committee chairs. And Public Information Committee is Jenny Simsky. Public Safety Committee is Marie Guzzo. Administrative Finance Committee, which we just had a meeting, was Linda Little. Public Works Committee is Steve Nero. Community Development Committee is Jim Addington. Environmental Improvement Committee is Bruce Barker. And Economic Development Committee is Harold Berry III. And again, these meetings are all open to public. At our website, it tells you when these meetings are scheduled. A majority of them are scheduled prior to this meeting, and others are in the morning or in the evening with Westmont first. And so please, you're welcome to attend. The Citizen of the Year Award nominations, information we posted here at Village Hall and at the Westmont Chamber website. Please nominate someone who demonstrates great volunteer service to the community. We're looking for different nominations, and that'll be announced at the awards program. Is it in March or April? April, and we'll give you that date as we move along. And that's all I have, so I'll go turn to Clerk Simsky.
And mine is just real quick, too. All our liquor licenses were in on time, that renewed, and our business licenses are coming in, but there's still a lot to come in, so that's all I have tonight.
Well, I have to back up and ask Director Ziegler to, I have a note here, volunteer acknowledgement. I just read what's on my agenda.
That's from last meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, then,
Sorry.
It didn't get edited
all right.
out.
I thought she had another one, so we'll move on to the trustee Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the mayor said, we started our new committees, and Economic Development had met this week, and we did an interesting recap. Larry and Jill and Joe had kind of went over our recaps of businesses, and I found it to be very interesting. We had 25 new businesses, and 12 of the 24 vacancies in downtown were filled. So very exciting to see that our downtown is filling up, and we've had comments about the block being full, and what a difference that changes. Larry also talked about the retention and relocation of existing businesses. Because their love and desire to work with Westmont, he was able to keep businesses in Westmont. And some of that retention and expansion is with the BMW and Porsche, which is going on Ogden in our auto mile. We've also had on the South Westmont Business District, we have had the 63rd Street oil change, and we've also had Aspire Living to complement Mariano's and our other businesses there. So again, we're looking for more activity there in the upcoming year. One of the great things about the BMW and Porsche project is there's no commitment from the village in those projects, where a lot of these new TIF projects that come into town, the village is helping. These are done completely independent, which is a real win for the village. Residentially, there was 18 new homes built. 18 single-family, and 3 duplexes. These are the first duplexes built in the village from maybe back to 2008, 2006, post-recession. So as we see, the economic climate is definitely changing. Also, the Park District opened a new Burness Park this year. Again, to our economic development, the Park District is a key player in that, along with the schools and our public safety. And then one last thing is that the permit fee revenues in 2017 were $2,763,767, up almost $1.7 million over 2016. So again, as we see, those trends are pointing upward. So our Economic Development Committee will meet bi-monthly, the first Wednesday of every month. So we'll basically be on the odd months moving forward unless something needs to be fast-tracked for a business to open. I think that's all I have at this point, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to all.
Trustee Guzzo.
Thank you, Mayor. The Citizens Fire Academy class will be starting April 5th, 2018 through May 10th. Look for more information upcoming on the village's website. Please help the fire department out in this weather and keep the area fire hydrants clear of snow. Also, you can check on the village website, the Adapt the Hydrant program. And then I would like to invite up Chief Weiss to talk about severe winter weather and warming centers.
Thank you, Trustee Guzzo. I just want to make sure that our residents and our community is aware of the severe weather, and that if you go to the village's website, we have additional information on there in reference to weather conditions. Just be alert to when the weather advisories come out and the weather storm watches or the weather storm warnings, to take heed of those, take action, be prepared. We have several warming centers in the village. And you can contact the fire department at any time or the village. And, if there's a need for those to be open, we can get those open. DuPage County also has warming centers throughout the county. So please, if you're looking for additional information, please contact the fire department or police department.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And then the last thing I would like to say is our first Public Safety Committee meeting of 2018 will be February 15th at 4:30. And thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Addington.
Happy New Year, that's it.
I can't believe it. Let's keep moving. Trustee
I told
Nero.
everybody to fall off their chair.
Trustee Nero.
We're off to a great start. Let's keep going.
Well, legislature's not back in, and mayors and managers isn't meeting until the end of the month, so
All right, well,
not a whole bunch of information right now. But you know what? I'll catch up next time.
thank you, Trustee Addington. Just a couple of things, Mayor. I'm taking over Public Works Committee. I'm excited to be back involved with Public Works. It'll be a lot of fun. Our next meeting is March 15th, and I'd like to invite up our Public Works Director, Ramsey, to talk about snow plowing removal and also a little update on some water main break operations. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Trustee Nero. Yeah, it's been kind of an interesting winter so far as far as snow removal and snow plowing. You all aware at the beginning of the winter, November, December, we didn't have really any issues at all. The weather was nice and warm. Everything was great. We didn't have any problems at all. And then all of a sudden, now it's gotten cold. We've had a lot of snow off and on, a lot of snow, small snow events, nothing major luckily so far. We're expecting some snow this weekend. But one thing that was interesting, I've been director now for about 3 years now, and this winter I've had more calls and more emails and compliments about our snow removal compared to the towns around us. And I know our staff, for years has been known for one of the best snow removal staffs around here, but this year, so especially this year, there were some towns that didn't even go out and do anything. I drove through Lyle and Downers Grove on my way here to work, and they didn't even touch the roads. I come in here and the roads are wet, drivable, safe. The depot is another area where we spent a lot of concentration on snow removal there. And again, Metro's called me a couple times, BNS has called me in the past saying what a great job we do with our platform, making sure it's safe for our commuters that go into the city. It's important. We do have a lot of commuters that take the train every day. Some trustees also take the train every day. And so I'm really proud to say that our staff does a really good job with that. As far as water main breaks this year, again, nothing going on until the last couple weeks. Once it started getting really cold, we've had 6 main breaks now since just before Christmas. And last year, the whole year, we only had 21. So this winter has already been a little rougher than normal because it's been colder than normal. But compared to the communities around us, because of our aggressive water main replacement program for the last 25 years, we are still way under. I mean, Downers Grove, I see those guys out there every day. I mean, they're out there every day fixing water main breaks, and they're starting to do a really good water main replacement program also. So they're actually doing better than what they have in the past too. So, but yeah, it's it's kind of crazy how cold it's been lately and how rough it's been on our guys. I mean, our guys were out there the other night when it was 12 below out there fixing a water main break. It's tough, it's tough on them. We always remind them, make sure they're safe, make sure they go in the truck, get warm. But they do a really good job. Really proud of how hard, I know they work hard, and it is very difficult. And now the ground's getting more frost, so I'm expecting more and more issues. One good thing, though, is that we've only had 2 residents call about with no water. In the past, our residents have done a great job. Remember, just to let the water drip a little bit. Just a little bit of dripping will eliminate any kind of pipe ever freezing. You never have to worry about not having water. And I'm talking just a drip. You don't have to let it run. A small drip, just as long as the water's moving, you won't have to worry about any pipes freezing. So, and make sure if you do have pipes that are not well insulated, if you have a closet, open the closet, let it get some heat in there. That makes a huge difference. And then also, we've only had a couple water meters that have frozen this year so far. But I expect once it warms up, once the vacant properties that don't have their water off, we'll probably have some issues we're going to have to deal with. But for the most part, it's been a surprisingly pretty easy winter so far as that goes. So. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, thank you. Thanks to your team. They do a great job. They were out nonstop over the holidays, and I think we all noticed it, but they made the road safe for us to drive on, and thanks for that. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, thank you. Trustee Little.
Thank you, Mayor. The first Administration/Finance Committee meeting was held at 4:30 this afternoon. We reviewed the changes to the employee handbook for the village. We did a brief update from the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus on the Greenest Regions Compact 2. Different reports from different departments came in, and in order to hear more information, I want to challenge everybody to come out and join us for those meetings. It's the first Thursday meeting of every month at 4:30 in this room. So everybody's welcome, and hope to see a lot of people out here for that. Schedules for Cruisin' Nights and Taste of Westmont will be ready soon. We're putting together our programs even as we speak. Summer 2018 will be here. Somebody said before we know it. I don't think so, but until it comes, we're going to suffer through the cold. Westmont Special Events is also moving forward with a new St. Patty's Day event, so look for details coming out soon. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Barker.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 things this evening. Westmont First has a meeting on January 16th. That is a Tuesday because of the holiday on the 15th. And that's at 6 p.m. at the library, and the focus there is senior care in the village, and we have a number of area businesses that deal with seniors that are going to attend that meeting, along with the local agencies that participate with Westmont First, so we're looking forward to that. And then I am the new chairman for the Environmental Improvement Committee, and our meeting is next Monday, January 8th. Typically, it's the first Monday of the month. Because January 1st, again, was a holiday, we moved that meeting to January 8th, and they have a few things here that we want to make note of. There will be a press release coming out about the new heritage tree ordinance that was talked about several times with the Hilton project up there, as well as there'll be some additional information on the work that's going on in Richmond Gardens. They currently have a tree recycling, is the first 2 weeks of January, so if you have a live Christmas tree, you can put it out with your regular garbage, make sure you take the ornaments and the tinsel off. And I'm questioning, does anybody use tinsel anymore? Take the ornaments and lights off, please. And then they also have the holiday lights recycling at the Johannic Fire Station and the library. There's containers there to put your failed holiday lights, which is probably 50% of those. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Manager Mady, do you have anything?
No, sir, thank you.
Moving on. Does any trustee have any items they want removed from the consent agenda? Nope. All right, I'd ask Manager May to please read.
Consent agenda this evening starts with Village Board minutes. Board to consider approving the minutes from the Village Board meeting held December 21st, 2017. Next is the November financial report. Board to consider a motion to accept the financial report submitted for the month of November 2017, like the title. Finance ordinance number 17, in the aggregate amount of $1,460,383.57. This is followed by purchase orders. First purchase order being L&R Construction, $109,337.12. This is for change order number 2 for the Naperville Warwick Stormwater project. This is also the actual change order itself is an agenda item that you'll be voting on separately. This is just the purchase order encumbering that amount, or approving payment for it, but of course, assuming approval of the agenda item tonight. Next purchase order is the Village of Clarendon Hills, $160,730.85. We do cost sharing, participating in a street resurfacing project on Richmond. That is, the village boundary is down the center line, so half of the street is in one town, half in the other. They coordinated the entire project, we reimbursed them.
It's in north-south Richmond.
Yes. Next purchase order, Baxter and Woodman, $148,975. That's for the GIS, the Storm Sewer Atlas. Storm Sewer Atlas, well, to digitize it and put them into the GIS system, from the work from the previous year. You also approved this contract at the last meeting. This is just the purchase order for that. Next purchase order, Core and Main, LP, $69,512. That is for water meters and related supply. Next purchase order is IRMA, which is our Intergovernmental Risk Management Agency. It's our annual insurance contribution of $416,727.92. Next purchase order, Tyler, the next 2 purchase orders are Tyler Technologies that represents the Enterprise Resource Planning System. The first purchase order is $153,640. That's for the licensing component. And the second purchase order is $479,496. This is the total amount for the multi-year implementation for that system. That brings the total of purchase orders to $1,538,418.89. And the total of purchase orders with finance ordinance number 17 is $2,998,802.46. And that completes the consent agenda.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion by Addington to approve.
Second, Little?
Motion made and second. On the question. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll move on to new business. A, 410 North Washington Street, North Lot width variance. Board to consider ordinance approving a zoning code variance request from James Lesko to allow relief from the minimum lot width for a dwelling in the R3 single-family detached residence district. Director Ziegler.
Thank you, Mayor. The applicant is requesting a variance for an existing vacant lot to build a new single-family home. This lot is 48 feet wide, which is smaller than our typical lots. Our normal R3 lots are 60 feet wide. This was previously under the ownership of the adjacent property, which was then sold and marketed as a new home site. There were concerns at the public hearing regarding stormwater detention, which were answered by our village engineer, Noriega, and just about the character of the neighborhood, which the commissioners discussed. They all realized that this was a unique lot, and any size home that would be built on the property would require this type of variance. And
Or it's an unbuildable lot.
correct, yes.
What's the depth?
The depth is,
Roughly
I believe it's
300.
200.
297?
I see 4 fingers up.
244, is that what, 344?
344.
So it's a deep lot.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion by Addington to approve.
Second, Nero.
Motion made and second. Any additional comments or questions? Trustee Barker?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up, I watched the planning and zoning meeting, but the neighbors were supportive of this project, which I think is important. That they were okay, that what was being proposed would fit there and work well.
This is adjacent to the house that's being built right now.
Yes.
Nice area to build a home.
Any additional? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
I said Little.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Her voice is changing.
Trustee Barry.
Close enough.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Nero's voting for everybody.
New business B, engineering agreement, Burlington, Cumner, West End, Roslyn Storm Sewer Project. Board to consider an ordinance authorizing an engineering agreement with Engineering Solutions Team for design engineering services for the Burlington, Cumner, West End, and Roslyn Storm Sewer Project. And we got Director Ramsey.
Thank you, Mayor. The area bounded by Burlington and Cumner West End, about 10 residents are burdened with significant rear yard flooding throughout every year for the past few years. It was identified with the Stormwater Master Plan that Roslyn near Burlington experiences flooding during heavy rain events. We're requesting a sum of $74,000 for design for Phase 1 and Phase 2, using engineering services as the engineering firm for the Burlington Cumner West End project. If you remember, back our last Public Works Committee meeting, we had a few residents come in and discuss their hardship with their backyard flooding. It is really a problem, and we had put this in a budget for this current budget to do the work, but we were hesitant to move forward with it because we didn't want to install the vehicle for them to solve their problem without them wanting to participate in their portion of it. Obviously, they've all agreed that they want to participate now, so now we want to go ahead and move forward with this job. We do have the president of the engineering services here today for these two items. So if you do have any questions for me, if I can't answer them, Mr. Ed Klein is here to answer any questions you might have.
And this is not just to be able to pick up the backyard issue, but Roslyn and West End each have a sag in the road. So this solves a public issue in addition to access for backyard improvement.
Yeah, when we did the water main project on West End, we looked at trying to solve that problem, but at the time, it just wasn't cost effective to do it then. So this is actually an opportunity for us to solve multiple problems, like Manager May said. So.
And is there a financial dollar amount that they're going to be participating with?
Well, they're going to have to connect to the storm sewer themselves. Once we install it, it's going to be up to them to connect to it, right? Because that's all private property. We can't, we won't go on private property.
Okay.
So then this is like West End at Naperville Road, is that those backyards there? Is that?
Yeah, it's between Burlington, Cumner, West End, that whole area back there, right in the backyards there.
So how does Roslyn tie in? I understand where, West End and Cumner there, that's a bad problem, right? Is it kind of where it comes off the creek there?
Right. Well, I don't know if you want to kind of talk about the scope of the work. Mr. Klein has a better idea exactly the scope.
Good evening. Thank you. So the Roslyn corridor, the whole block of Roslyn drains into one inlet. So what the plan is on Roslyn is to go ahead and make the inlet size bigger, and then it's only a 12-inch sewer outletting there, so we're going to increase the size of the sewer. I'm not exactly sure yet what the proposed sewer size will be, but it will be bigger. And then what we're going to do then is there's a 30-inch diameter sewer going underneath the tracks between West End and Cumner. So that's where we're going to direct it to.
Okay.
So
Right now, the sags in like Roslyn and West End, in the pavement, if you can picture where the low points are, all that water, with or without any sewer, is all trying to cut west, through the yards to get down to the low point, which is Cumner and Burlington that you know. So in that block, Cumner to West End, that extends further north, the repairable issue, but for the public streets, it's that low point that's kind of east-west, parallel to Burlington.
Yeah, the West End and Cumner backyards there, they have water in a drought year, I think they have standing
bad
water.
all the
It's a
time.
bad
And
situation.
if you ever
There's a
see-
lot of ducks that live there.
And if you're ever seeing a heavy rain event, West End always discharges it. The manhole cover there always, it's terrible in every really heavy rain event.
So did the one at Cumner and Burlington.
Correct.
It looked like it was a geyser.
Yes, exactly. And so we're hoping, that, this project will definitely help with that.
Yeah.
Mike, is it optional for the residents to tie in afterwards, or do they have to since they said they're going to?
It's optional.
It is
We
still
can, yeah,
optional?
we're not gonna, but, all those residents have been complaining about this for a long time, so the ones I've talked to are very excited about this. I can't say all 10 want to do it for sure, but I know of 6 for sure that have agreed that they're gonna hook up to it once we do the work.
And then what, they'll have to pay to put like a manhole in their backyard, basically? Is that how that will work?
It's an inlet,
Yeah,
a
it's-
small pipe.
Yeah, it's,
And that would be like a 10-inch or something like that also, or not that big?
Between a 6 and a 10. I mean, there's no rush to get the water out of there. If it drains, in a few hours, that's plenty.
And in theory, if 6 out of the 10 did it, you'd probably help the other ones
Yeah.
along the way. I'm
right,
assuming.
you're right, exactly. But, you can't force them to, it's just something, that's why we were hesitant to do the work without at least some kind of support from them initially, because we didn't want to invest that money, and then they say, oh, we're not going to do it. Then we're just wasting public money. We don't want to do that, so.
Mike, do you have a kind of a guess what it would cost each resident to run a sewer on their property? Is it 5,000 or?
That's a good start.
Yeah.
A good start. No.
It's not even every
No.
resident. You find the low point in the backyards and try and pick it up
Okay.
and let the rest drain by gravity.
Right. And other towns do the shared stormwater solutions on something like this. So,
Do I have a motion?
Motion by Addington to approve.
Second, Little?
Motion been made and second to approve the engineering agreement. Additional comments or questions?
We just,
Go ahead,
as
trustee
the
Benz.
engineer commented at the end there, I don't know if there is something in stormwater, or maybe there is something where we could help with that for the residents.
Have
Maybe something.
10,000, like rear drainage
Yeah.
funds or something? Yeah.
It's a similar type of application. Here, they don't have the ability to help themselves, so the first step is to get the public infrastructure there so that we can solve the rest of it.
And we can work, and I agree with you, maybe we can come up with something.
We can look at that for an incentive to have them hook up. Maybe there's a way we could provide an incentive for our stormwater line. Any additional comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Little,
Yes.
trustee Barry,
Yes.
trustee Addington,
Yes.
trustee Nero,
Yes.
trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business C, Naperville Warwick Stormwater Improvement Project, Change Order 2. It's the final request. Board to consider ordinance approving change order number 2 for the Naperville Warwick Stormwater Improvement Project. And we've got Director Ramsey.
Thank you, Mayor. Midway through the construction, the project changed from directional bore to open cut to accommodate the significant amount of utility conflicts. This change increased the amount of the contaminated soil found through Chicago Avenue, which we were underestimated. This is the final change order that also represents the balancing of all the quantities for the entire project. So this change order number 2 will be the last change order you'll see with this project, and it is in the amount of $109,337.12, which revised the total contract amount to $1,114,404. 12 cents. As an increase, it approximately increased it by 19.7% of the original bid. Now, I just want to explain one thing. What was frustrating with this whole project is before when we start doing the design phase of any project, we'd call Julie to have them come out and do all the locates. And all the companies came out and did the locates. And what was frustrating about it was they did not do a very good job locating what the utilities actually were there. Nicor, AT&T, ComEd, AT&T, a lot of these different utilities where they said the utilities were, actually wasn't where they were at. So it's frustrating when you go out and you design a project and you're assuming where the utilities are going to be, you're designing it for that. And then when you go out there and you start doing excavating, you're running across all these utilities that aren't there. I work very closely with Julie. I'm the Julie representative for the village. I've voiced my disgust with this whole project with the director of, one of the directors of Julie, and he said this is a common thing recently because a lot of these utilities now, they contract out the locators. Before, ComEd, Nicor, AT&T would have their own staff go out there and do these locates. Well, the last 10, 12 years, they contract out because it's cheaper. Well, unfortunately, a lot of these people who come out and do the locating, they're not very knowledgeable. You know, they're going off a print, they're trying to guess where things are, and it's very frustrating. And it's not just here in Westmont, it happens a lot in other towns. And they are, they're trying to figure out a way to make them accountable. It's hard now, I mean, because, I mean, I know they're human and everyone makes mistakes, but when you're out there doing a locate on a project like this, you should do a lot better job than what you're doing. And it is very frustrating. So unfortunately, you know, the village has to take on the brunt of them mislocating these utilities. And that's why, you know, part of the reason why this change order is what it is because of them not locating the utilities the way it should have been. And unfortunately, we had to change our scope of work from boring the project to open cutting, which is a lot more expensive. Obviously, you're a lot more material used, and then we had contaminated soil out there we had to remediate. So there was a lot of other issues that were unforeseen when we originally designed this project.
Large disruption to traffic that
Large,
we didn't anticipate.
correct. Yes, we had a lot of complaints from the school and parents because we had to reroute, you know, students
Then
going
is
to
this a
school.
project that is put out to an engineering bid? They're the one who handles the bid for us, an engineering company?
Yeah, well, we participate in the bid process, but the engineering firm does participate. You know, we both.
Because to me, more than Julie, they should be on the hook. You know, they should know what they're getting into on a project, and it should be their responsibility to.
I can address.
Well, so if I could finish, you know,
Yes.
it should really be to them, because when you're paying a service
Okay.
to do a bid for you, that becomes their liability, you
Well,
know,
we-
at least the way I would look at it.
Well,
You know,
our-
and when you talk 20% increase, that's a big jump.
Well, our engineering company did the design for you and was responsible for the bid situation. So during the study and during the design process, we notified all the utilities of what our intent was. And we told them that we were intending to go ahead and put through a 36-inch diameter sewer underneath Chicago Avenue. Okay, that's how engineers talk. As far as builders talk, we were putting in a 36-inch RCP, which means we're putting in a 48-inch pipe. So when you're a utility and you get these calls, they're polite to the engineers. And they say, yes, we'll get you the information. They say, you're building what? And we say, we're building a 36-inch diameter pipe. And the utilities know there aren't any municipalities building 36-inch diameter storm sewers. So they're polite, and they're just, you know, getting you out of their hair. So you get the answers, and then all of a sudden, the project gets out there and it's advertised. And then the utilities start calling up and they say, you're really building that? And the answer is, yeah, that's what we've been telling you. And they says, okay, now, we'll get on it. And then they get on it, and then they start giving you more accurate information after the project's designed, after the project's out to bid. And then lo and behold, so that is what went ahead and forced us to come to the decision that we do not have enough accurate information to drill that pipe underneath Chicago Avenue, because there's way too much stuff there, and nobody knows exactly where it's at. I can name every utility.
It just, to me,
no,
you're paying
they have-
the engineering firm to get you that accurate information.
They have,
You know, that's the thing.
the only way you can get the accurate information is to go through and actually pothole every utility. Because every utility has a reasonable idea where their utility is in the X and the Y direction, and the utilities really don't know where their utility is in the Z direction. So Nicor, on their 4-inch high-pressure gas main, was off by 21 inches. Okay, so that went from above our pipe to below our pipe. So this is located right on the south side of Chicago Avenue. So when I went ahead and we encountered that situation, then contractor told me, he says, Ed, we're going to stay here, get everything cleaned up for one more day, and make it safe, and then we're out of here until you were able to go ahead and get this opened up for us to build again. So I called the head of design for NICOR that afternoon, and he says, Ed, we'll get out there and relocate it in 7 weeks. I said, okay, 7 weeks. Well, if they had done it in 7 weeks, the road would still be closed. It would be closed all winter, and I knew that. So I was talking to the head of design, and I called him back that afternoon, and I said, Bruce, I said, with all due respect, 7 weeks isn't working for us. And he says, that's all I can do. And I says, well, Bruce, honestly, I like you, but I'm going home, and I'm going to call every politician and lobbyist I worked with and get him to get your boss to see you tomorrow morning and tell you that that's not good enough. Well, that's what I did. And one local mayor stepped up to the plate and gave me a name, and I ended up getting the name of the head of NICOR. So I talked to him the following day, and he said, through a lot of discussions, NICOR came out and cut and capped that 4-inch high-pressure gas main the following Monday so that our contractor could get back in there the following week, and we were able to maintain the schedule. Then on the north side of Chicago Avenue.
Ed?
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it's all right, and I know you want to explain the details of what happened, but the bigger answer is you're working with the information that you're given.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything different than rely on, what was given to you. And even if you were doing let's say it was a building or a design build, there are still circumstances that can come up that, if they're not foreseen, are still entitled to extra work or change order.
It just usually you wouldn't be paying a service to cover to make sure that that wouldn't happen like we do, and then it doesn't happen. I guess what I'm asking is, will you meet us halfway on this? It seems like it's a comedy of errors of Julie and the engineering wasn't getting the right information and so forth. So when we have a 20% increase, is there any possibility to meet us anywhere on it?
This isn't an engineering services increase. This is a physical construction
I
cost to
understand
build
that,
the
but when
project.
you put a bid out to an engineering company that tells you that this is going to be X amount of dollars, and it comes in 20% higher, it's hard for us as a village to budget for those types of things.
You bid the engineer for the design, and the contractor bids on the construction. So I still understand your argument, but that would be for the contractor that built it, right?
A bigger argument.
I guess somebody should possibly be on
Our
the hook for that.
our biggest argument is with ComEd.
That's what I was going to say. They hold no responsibility for mismarking?
No.
In fact, NICOR, the biggest problem out there is abandoned utilities. This is getting to be a huge problem in our industry. So NICOR went ahead and cleared the gas main out of there. And then there's an old gas main sitting right there, still in the way of our pipe. And then the contractor says, so is that abandoned? And everyone from NICOR was there. And they said, well, we think so. And we said, that's all you're going to do? And they says, yeah. They said, how do we know? And they said, well, you have to drill it. So then we said, does the gas company drill it? And they says, nope, they took all our drills away. So we got down there with the contractor, and after an hour, we got down there, we drilled it ourselves, and it was empty.
Why is Julie untouchable here? I mean, John, did they just have no liability on this, and they did the bad job?
I believe we enter into a contract with Julie, and it typically, they disclaim any liability, and as you pointed out now, they contract all that work out.
They do.
So they don't.
That's the big problem. That's a big disconnect. This is where somebody from state legislature is going to have to step in and say, you know what, you guys, NICOR, AT&T, and ComEd all need to be accountable for when they're locates.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, they have to be. It's unfair to municipalities like us that have to pay the brunt, like what Trustee Barry is saying. We shouldn't be paying this additional cost. NICOR, ComEd, AT&T, they should be paying the additional cost. The downtime for this contract, they had to sit and wait for these guys to move the utilities that needed to be moved. That should not be on the village. That should be on the utility companies. And unfortunately, we have no recourse to go after them. The way it is right now.
There's also a, between how they used to, mark these things and locate these things and map these things, and then the conversion over to the GIS. just a change in data, the record keeping is only as good as the people that were doing that work. And it's not always accurate, or reliable, and you don't know it's there until you dig there and find it.
Right, and like Mr. Klein has said, I mean, all the stuff that's abandoned, when we do a water main project, we don't go and take the old water main out, we leave it.
That's right.
And we go put a new water main in, so, you know,
That's on map now.
yeah, but, you know, we change our GIS, we put our new water main on the map, we get rid of the old. So there's no documentation that there's an old water main there unless there's somebody like me that's been here forever that knows that's there. But once, you know, you get somebody new in there, they're not gonna know there's an old water main there. It's the same thing with NICOR. I mean, they're doing this all over the state of Illinois right now. I mean, they're changing all their water main, or gas main and gas services right now. All the old stuff's staying in the ground. And not to mention all the fiber optics that's going in. I mean, it's really going to be difficult to put a shovel in the ground anywhere in the near future.
So I do want to point out that when we initially did the contract, so as you can see here, we're looking at the total contract amount now being 1.1 million. That's correct?
Yeah, it was 1.1.
So when we initially bid out the proposal back in, I think it was April, we found out that the bids that came in were actually significantly less than the engineer's estimate. So the engineer initially estimated it would be about $1.7, $1.8 million. We're finding out they said, the contractor said, oh, we can do it for the smaller amount. And now that more things have come up, it's getting a little closer to what the engineers initially estimated for us. So I just wanted to make sure that was out there as well. So it is less than what the engineers initially estimated, even with the change order.
Well, and it sounds like we have no choice.
Well, the thing is,
really
even
have
though
no
they,
choice in that.
we signed no liability, have we even addressed it with them?
With Julie?
No,
Or
with whoever marked it, yeah.
Oh, I've talked to the director of Julie, and I explained this is a huge problem, and he agrees this is a huge problem, but who's going to take that fight on? It's not going to be Julie. They're just,
No.
you know, they don't care.
Yeah, but the increased cost is because of the change in scope.
Correct.
Remove more material, you had to add more
You had to
material,
close the
you had
road. Right, we had to close the
contaminated
road, right.
soil.
Exactly.
And it's additional work that had to be done.
But
so
it
the
doesn't make you
project
very
just got
confident,
Yeah.
you know, digging in your backyard. If you have Julie come and they mark and say it's here, and, you know, basically what they're saying is they're not really marking very accurately, so
Yeah.
be careful when you dig, you know.
Don't
and,
trust us.
It's kind of a scary thought.
Well, anybody who does, if we do it ourselves, or if engineering does it, they all have to rely on Julie.
Within 2
Correct.
feet. So you got to
Digger in Chicago, it's a little different, but in Chicago it's a little different. But yeah, anywhere in the suburbs, it's Julie, or anywhere else, really in the rest of the state. it's
I
Julie.
think you addressed
We beat it.
So
trustee
that's why
Barry's.
this was an increase, so.
Okay.
But it's still below the
Underground pipe
original
projects
estimate.
and foundation projects are, they're tough.
Yeah.
And I understand where you're coming from, but
Well, I think until Julie gets their situations squared away, we better be prepared on every project that goes underground, that we should be maybe looking at additional monies coming, you know.
it's not an exact science until you're in the thick of it.
I
Until
thank
you're
you
in
for
the
your
quicksand.
input. Yeah, right, thank you.
Well, do I have a motion to approve?
So move Guzzo.
Second Addington.
Well, made and second to approve. Additional comments? Mike, you got anything, questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Parker.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business D, Business Publicity Grant Program. Board to consider an ordinance adopting the Westmont First Committee's Business Publicity Grant Program. And I think I'm turning this over to Director Parker.
Sure, I can talk about it to some extent. I think Communications Director McIntyre is also very involved with this, as was the attorney and Trustee Barker. But the general idea with this is that we are looking at, got the wrong agenda up. So the general idea with this is we're looking at developing a grant program to be able to use for businesses when they're doing special events, to be able to bring people into town to be able to do things that will support their businesses. So it's similar in a way to the facade grant program where we're trying to help businesses out, but this is something to help with advertising for an event. So this is something that Westmont First had initially suggested, and then we've budgeted the money for it this year and are now working on putting it together. So we've now got the draft proposal ready and think we're in good shape to start moving forward with it.
Trustee Barker, you have,
Yeah, if I could just add, and it was for new events, it wasn't for existing events that have already occurred. It was for somebody to bring a new event, like the wine tasting that was just done with Dolce, was an excellent example to be able to say, we could help them make that better if we could participate a little bit with their marketing.
so your committee would make that decision? It'd be part of
Yes.
your budget?
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Nero.
Motion made and second to approve. On the question, trustee Addington,
We have any idea what we're gonna recommend to go into the kitty?
how much should we appropriate this year?
Well, this year, none.
We do have money set aside. I believe it's $2,500 in total.
So we could do 5 if it was at a max, if it was maximum. What are we looking at in the new budget?
At least initially, just
determined.
keeping the same amount,
Same
but
amount.
we haven't.
Now,
I
Westmont
think we-
First is going to take the applications and review and administer it, but you still have to approve the expenditure.
Well, I think this is just a wonderful idea. I think kudos to Bruce and his committee for coming up with ideas like this. And, we hear about things all the time. I'm just in the back of my mind, I just think that $2,500 may prove to be less than adequate over an entire one-year period. But again, we can always do an increase if we need to, so.
But it's new programs, so.
But it's new programs. Well, there was a local band in town played at one of our restaurants a couple of weeks ago. Was a benefit for the USO, and it would have been a new event, and that would be something that theoretically could fall into this because it was a new event. So I can see where this could be of some benefit.
The way it's structured now, 5 different events could be funded.
Yeah,
If they all spent
They spent $1,000.
Maximum.
$1,000, yeah. If they
Well-
spent less, then it would be less than that. But I guess let's leave it at the 2,500, and we can always
Yeah.
relive it, but I love the idea. I think this is great.
Yeah, so to be clear, they would get 50%, no more than 50% of the event itself, but also no more than what they spend on advertising the event.
Yeah.
So we would only cover the advertising. So if the event itself is $1,000 and they spent 500 of that $1,000 is on advertising, we'd cover the 500.
Right.
If they only have $100 in advertising, that's all that we would be covering.
Right.
And I see, and I apologize, I didn't read the guidelines and so forth, but when you say an existing event, so like if the wine came to us next year, they would not be able to get it?
Yeah, we designed this to bring a new event, like they had the zombie pub crawl.
That would be new.
Well, it would have been new, right? They had one. But that's what we want. We want to encourage new ideas and
New
new
ideas.
events to grow this. And, that one weekend with the Dolces, I think there were like 3 things going on in town. So people had to choose, what am I going to do? And that's what we're looking for. The health fair that was done years ago with Harmony Hair, and that was a great event. But, a little bit more PR could have made that even bigger and maybe more worthwhile for those businesses and maybe more long-lasting because it was a one-year event. So that's why we want to say, bring us something and, if we can help you as a village, we will.
Sounds great.
I think it's a good idea.
I love it.
I'd ask for a roll call.
Did we make a motion yet?
Yes.
Oh, we did. That's right, those guys over there did.
Trustee Little,
Yes.
trustee Barry,
Yes.
trustee Addington,
Yes.
trustee Nero,
Yes.
trustee Guzzo,
Yes.
trustee Barker.
Yes.
New business E, agreement for liquor license inspections. Board to consider an ordinance approving an agreement with the Illinois Department of Revenue to participate in the alcohol liquor enforcement pilot program. And we've got, I'll call him the Vice Liquor Commissioner.
Deputy is fine.
Mulhern.
Thank you, Mayor. This agreement allows the Deputy Liquor Commissioner and other village staff to perform inspections of licensed liquor establishments to determine compliance with various signage, record sanitation, and other requirements. The state will pay a fee of $75 per business inspected. We'll be entering a partnership with the Illinois Liquor Control Commission to assist our overworked investigators in conducting inspections of our local businesses. It'll offer a better and safer environment for visitors and customers in these businesses. Myself will be working with Chief Gunther to get personnel chosen to conduct these inspections. My goal, we do one inspection a year. We get $75 from the state to do that inspection. We can do more depending on our time, and we'll see how that goes. There's a certain time period, but we will receive training, and we will, in effect, be working for the Liquor Control Commission, not for the local Liquor Commission.
And you see it as a benefit to us?
Yeah, Mayor, it is. It gives us a chance to get into our businesses, interact open our lines of communication, but as well do these inspections to make sure that A, they're getting done, and B, our businesses are complying with the state liquor commission. There will be consequences to any violations, but that's handled by the Illinois Liquor Commission, not by us. We're just their eyes and ears taking it to them. They currently had only, I believe we went through class 7 inspectors. They've now doubled that to 16, but that's for the whole state, and including the city of Chicago. So they're definitely overworked. The city of Naperville and DuPage County are the only other two that I'm aware of in DuPage are offering this, so we want to be at the forefront as well.
As I've been to so many meetings where they've spoken to us, and they have been begging for our police departments and our liquor commissioners to please get involved and help them, because they're swamped. And our guys know what's going on, so it's a blessing for them.
And you're comfortable doing it?
Mayor, we have, I believe, 46 liquor licenses. Don't hold me to that. I know it's not close to 50. We have the whole year to do this, so my goal is to split them up. We'll split them up quarterly.
One a week.
Yeah, we'll split them up quarterly, and it's not, if I can't do it, we'll have enough staff on hand. We have to get our training done first, thus with the agreement. We will, they're saying it should take no more than, at the most, an hour, maybe 2 at a business, depending which one you got. If we do 2 a day and then space our time out, we'll be able to do it, or with a team of, the more we get trained to hire, the more we can have go out and do it. So it's an achievable goal.
Good. I have a motion.
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Nero.
Motion made and second to approve. On the question, additional, trustee Addington.
Yeah, this doesn't change the other things that you do, like you're still gonna do our stings, if you, I hate
Yes.
to call it that, but that's what it is.
We will be doing our enforcement checks. I've worked with the detectives of the police department. We'll be going out in the first quarter of this year. I don't want to say when, but we will be going out in the first quarter. They hit all the businesses in Westmont. If there is a violation, the person who served is arrested, and then they are also notified by our deputy village attorney and myself of the license violation. They are then subject to a hearing in front of the liquor commissioner where they can be fined, suspended, up to revocation. And the hard part would be is if they're a frequent flyer, I want to say, or a common customer for violations, they get hit pretty hard.
Yeah. And again, doesn't have anything to do with the video games. That's still done, that's still.
No, we'll still go and inspect those, that's completely separate, but one of the reasons the Liquor Commission is doing this as well, too, is to update their records. They want to open the lines of communication with us, because they are staying in communication with the video gaming. The video gaming, if they have a video gaming license and they get caught with a liquor violation, they have to notify the gaming board. If they don't, they're in trouble, and they could be subject to violations from the gaming. So the gaming looks at it as heavily just as the liquor does too.
So again, cross-communication, that's
Correct. And then we just found out now that these inspectors from the Liquor Commission will be going out on our enforcement checks as well to ensure that we're doing it the correct way, making sure our businesses are getting checked the way they should. Which we know they
Additional
are.
questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Motion passes. New business F, sexual harassment policy. Board to consider an ordinance approving revisions to Chapter 62, Personnel, Section 62-73, Sexual Harassment of the Village Code of Ordinances. And I got Manager May.
Mayor, all of the changes in the personnel code, or Section 62, were covered more thoroughly at the Admin Finance Committee earlier this evening. And we intentionally separated out the sexual harassment policy as an agenda item tonight from the next item will be the balance of the employee handbook revisions. And that because it is a Public Act requires each governmental unit to adopt this ordinance or resolution within 60 days of this enacted Public Act, establishing the policy to prohibit sexual harassment. So I ask you to vote on this separately.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Barker.
Motion made and seconded to approve. On the question.
The village had a policy prohibiting sexual harassment. This just enhances it based on the state requirements.
Yes. It satisfies the state. Roll call, please.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Motion passes. New business, oh, go ahead.
Just a question. There's so much going on right now with people coming up with things that happened, 8,000 years ago. Do we go through, Steve, do you kind of go through this? Is there a training session? Is it part of their indoctrination? Do we do it as a separate thing?
It was in there, we will be doing it as a separate thing. It is not, we already do it at a staff level.
Okay.
So the, boards, commissions, and that is, it's not addressed how that is handled, but we intend to do something. But in the act, it's not the requirement.
Okay.
But when we hire somebody, part of the orientation is to get the,
Sure, well, the entire
Manual.
personnel code is
Yeah.
part of that.
and they sign off, they read it, and supposedly, okay.
They sign off that they received it, yes.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. New business G, employee handbook revisions. Board to consider an ordinance approving revisions to the multiple sections of Chapter 62, Personnel, of the Village Code of Ordinances. Manager May.
This is the balance of the revisions in the handbook in Chapter 62 that we talked about at committee. There are many, I didn't count them, but there are many. We broke them down into the three categories, the ones that are federally or state or somehow mandated by another entity that are required to do, and then our own changes, and then there was many housekeeping type items that were in there too. Be happy to revisit any part of that you had questions since in the discussion at the committee. So in addition to the agenda item as presented here and the changes that were reflected in the ordinance as written for tonight, we talked about the addition of, or the modification of the holiday schedule, the paid benefit holidays would be the addition of Christmas Eve, the removal of Good Friday, and then the other revision was the, I'll just qualify it as the conversion of the personal days or personal time in the personal manual to floating holidays, so that, for example, the Good Friday still has opportunity to be accessed by employees, but making the floating holidays their option as opposed to ours.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Little?
With Manager May's additions?
Yes.
The two
Yes.
changes.
Okay.
Second, Nero.
Motion made in second. On the question. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Motion passes. Miscellaneous. I have one item in staff. A young lady, she's young to me, came in, and if she's missed something on the agenda, she's more than welcome to come up, since I've made that a point since we started at 6 o'clock. If someone cannot make the first part, and maybe she was okay because whatever she's here for got approved.
Mayor, she asked me, she was here for item B, and she wanted to know how the board voted. I informed her, and she was very happy.
Good, so, thank you. Anybody else have Miscellaneous. Seeing none, I have called for an executive session, and it's to discuss the following matters: the purchase of real estate for the use of the village pursuant to Section 2C5 of the Open Meetings Act, and the sale of village-owned real estate pursuant to 5 ILCS 120-2C6. And do I have a motion to go into executive session for those reasons?
Motion to go into executive session for purchase of real estate and sale of real estate.
Second by Mary.
Motion made in second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
All right, we will be adjourning to executive session. When we come out of the executive session, there will not be any further business following that executive session. So we'll adjourn now. Thank you.